In this video, we'll take a look at rotating this building and the little site area around the building that we see here in the views in Ecosystem Building Designer to have a different orientation of the building compared to the sun, for example, so that we can run other solar exposures and try out different orientations. Then we can take that orientation that we have of the building, export that back out to Energy Simulator, and run further energy simulations, which we can compare with the baseline simulation. And then you can find an optimum orientation for the building. Now, I'm in the underbar working model.dgn file. Remember that this file is made up of references. So I'm in the EcoSim workflow here, and I'm on the architectural tab. You'll see this references tool right here. And right here I can see there are two what we call top level attachments. And that smart site out here, if I turn that one on, remember that's this really large site out here. Let me just move this out of the way temporarily. And see, I can zoom way out here. You can see this whole big area in North Carolina that is the area of the location of our project. So we're simply rotating this file, which is just the building and that little area, that circular site that we see right around the building. So I'll turn off this large area reference file. And don't forget, if you move the views all around, rotate them, zoom in and out, you can always come up here to View, Apply Saved View, and in this file we have this gem ISO. Remember, part of the save view is that it turns that reference file on, so I'll just turn it back off again here. Don't forget that these references are made up of nested attachments. And a nested attachment means that there's attachments to the attachment. So if we have this Show Hierarchy button on here, we can expand our reference attachments. And here's the gem. It's referencing the project master model from out of that DGN file. If I expand that, you'll see that there are a lot of other nested attachments. And if you click on it over here, then I can see here are those nested attachments. So we've got things like our roof options and our HVAC options that we'll take a look at in the other videos. So I'll go back to the active file over here on the left, select the top level attachment, this gem.dgn file. And right here we can rotate the reference. So I just can type in an angle here. Let's say I go 35 degrees. I'm hitting tab on my keyboard. And we see in our views out here how that changed the orientation of the building. Then I could run another solar exposure and again, try different orientations and then export it out to EcoSim Energy Simulator. So I'll put it back to 0. Again, I'm just hitting tab on my keyboard here. Remember that view 1 is in an isometric orientation and view 2 is in a top orientation. So let's just try, 90 degrees. Just trying different angles here. Again, you can see how it changes the orientation of the building. Let's go 160. Don't forget about the display styles. I can come up here and choose that illustration with shadows display style. Apply it to both of the views just by clicking in the views. And that gives me an idea of the shadows for a particular sun location. As we saw in the previous video, we can go to our visualization tab, come in here and look at the solar path. So you can see how the path, is the same, but now the orientation of my building is different. So I'm going to get different shadows. I can just right click to get out of that solar path overlay that it puts on the views. And then again, like we saw in the previous video, we can run a solar exposure calculation. I'm going to set my settings here just like we saw in the previous video. And I did one for the spring equinox, so I'll do that same day. Say OK right here. Remember, this will, since I said a setting in there to create a new file, it will prompt me to save this file. And don't forget that it's going into the Workset Designs folder. And it already has the Underbar Solar name on the file. But if I do several of these orientations and I do them for the different dates, like the equinoxes and solstice dates, I probably want to reflect that in my file name. So I did it for March the 20th, so I'll put a 320 and then maybe a dash. And I rotated this 160 degrees, so I'll put something like 160. I can even spell out the rotation there. And then I can say save. And of course, as we saw previously, it will save that to the other file and open it. And there I can see the different results of the orientation of the building there. Like we saw in the previous video, I could save this out to an image file. So I'll go back to my Underbar working model file with this previous arrow down here in my view groups window. We can just exit the file. It will save this. Or if we want to just get it back to that 0 orientation, we can just come in here and change that. So taking a look at using our reference rotation functionality here to change the orientation of the building to run different solar exposures. With that rotation on there, do a different one. We could now export it out to Energy Simulator and then run energy simulation on the rotated orientation of the building. And then we can compare those results against our baseline simulation that we did in EcoSim Energy Simulator. Thanks a lot.